areas, including healthcare, COVID-related healthcare, non-emergency healthcare relief effort, e-learning, and mental health and other areas of need of our community during these times. So I don't want to take much longer of your time. Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully you'll find this webinar beneficial to you. Please share the information with your colleagues and your friends. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you, Sister Samah and your team for hosting this wonderful seminar or webinar.
You're welcome. Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Kamal.
So, at this particular time, we would introduce and turn the program over to Sama El-Zadan, who's the Dean of Students at CPS School in Lombard, Illinois, and her and her staff have taken a lead in developing e-learning as a way to educate and keep this education going in these restrictive times. So at this point in time, Sister Sama, you would take over, please.
Okay, can I take over screen sharing, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, give me 1 second. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Okay, so as Brother Mitchell just said, my name is Samah Zahadan. I'm the Dean and Counselor at College Preparatory School of America in Lombard, and two of my colleagues will be joining us. Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay, let me share it. Give me 1 second, sorry about that. All right, everyone could see my screen now, inshallah?
Yes, they can.
Okay, perfect. So I have two of my colleagues on the call as well, if they would like to introduce themselves. I think he's muted.
Sorry. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Asim. As you can already see, technology is fun. I'm a social studies teacher at CPSA, and I am someone who loves Google Classroom. And I hope, inshallah, those of you who are listening in will be interested in trying using Google Classroom for your e-learning purposes.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Junaid Mansouri. I'm a math and science teacher at CPSA. I'm very passionate about online learning, online education. I've been doing it for quite some time, so I'm looking forward to learning and sharing the experiences that I've had. Thank you.
Okay, so with introductions done, so these two gentlemen are actually the experts in e-learning at our school. They're the ones who actually did the presentations for our teachers. They are the teachers, so they are on these platforms all the time, utilize it all the time, know everything about it. So the reason I'm giving the presentation is we are under the assumption that many people here either have not started e-learning or need to learn how to just the basics of creating classrooms, which is why I am here. So I will be creating classrooms with everyone, and hopefully you guys will all be able to see that as well. And then Dr. Mansouri and Brother Asim will be chiming in and helping me wherever needed if I make any mistakes. So Google Classroom, real quick, we'll go over creating an actual classroom, settings, how to add people to the classroom, streaming, and then classwork. And then for Microsoft Teams, we'll be actually creating teams, so they're called teams and not classes. We'll upload class materials, assignments, grades and files, and then starting conversations and features with conversations. Now I know in the ad that we had sent earlier, we did mention Zoom. We are going to give a brief description, which is what we're using right now, but it's a little bit different when you're using it for teaching. But we actually do not recommend it. We did start at CPSA with Google Classrooms and Zoom, but we are looking into slowly weeding out Zoom because there's been, I'm sure everyone is aware, a lot of issues with Zoom and people, unwanted people coming in and posting and saying things on that platform. And we found it safer using Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams, which is why we are going to present those two today. Again, like Brother Mitchell said earlier, Q&A, you guys could type up your questions. We'll try to respond to them. And we are recording the session. So inshallah, CIODC will be posting it to the website. So without further ado, so I am going to go into my Google Classroom. I'm going to share that with you guys. Give me a moment, and I'm going to do a new share. And right here, my other screen, and let me go into, all right. So to start a Google Classroom, so Google Classroom is now available for Google for Education accounts as well as regular Gmail accounts. So anyone who has a Gmail account will be able to utilize this. And anyone could see Google Classroom.
Remember the constituency license.
I'm sorry? Was that a question?
Please continue.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so inshallah, I'll be showing you how to create a Google account. So alhamdulillah, we have a great IT administration at CPSA, and they helped us input everyone's emails and kind of navigate through and how to work this. So the first step is everyone sees right on top here, right next to images, the Google Apps. If you click on Google Apps and you go to Classroom, click on Classroom. Okay, so as you see, I already have some classrooms set up here. So these classrooms are not mine. These are classrooms set up by teachers in my school, and they have added me onto those classrooms so I could kind of see what they're doing on those classrooms. I'll show you those a little bit later. So to start a classroom, first you need to click the plus button in the top right to create your first class. So it's right next to, like we said, the checkboard icon right here. So you're going to click on that and create a class. So it'll ask you if you want to join a class or if you want to create a class. So for this session, we're going to create a class. Okay, so first we're going to name the class. So we're going to name it CIOGC webinar class. And section, we need to put a section in here if you are teaching more than one section of the same class. So if you're teaching 2 English sections for world literature, for example, so you'd have 2 sections. So in order for you to differentiate between the 2, you'd give them sections. So we'll just name this one section 1. And then obviously you have to put the section. So there are pre-filled subjects on here, or you could type in your own subject. So if you see right here, all these classes are coming up. So I'll select one of these right here. I'll select AP Calc BC, and a room. If you want to select a room number, the room number you have your class in kind of helps students as well, so they know which one, make it easier for them to know which class to log into. Okay, so we've created the class. It's creating right now. All right, and the class has been created. So if you see over here, I don't know if you guys could see everything on my screen. I have to keep moving over the pictures here. So this is the name of our class. This is the section number right here. And this is the join code, okay, the class code. So what we're gonna do before we go into everything, we are going to go to settings, because we don't wanna share this join code with our students. And I'll explain to you in a little bit why we do not wanna do that. So we're going to go into our settings right up here. Okay, so this is the detailed information, the class detailed information that we put in earlier. And then we're going to hide the class code. So we're going to disable it. I'm sorry, is someone asking a question? Can you guys mute your...
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Just continue.
Okay. All right, so we're disabling the class code because the reason why is we don't want this shared with others that are outside of the classroom. Streaming, I'll explain what streaming is in a little bit, but I'm gonna put this drop down right here. It says students can post and comment. So there's 3 different ways of posting. So if you wanna give students ability to post and comment, if you don't want them to comment at all, students, or if you only want the teacher to post and comment. So what Brother Asim and some of the teachers have mentioned before is in the beginning, sometimes they like to do the only teachers can post and comment and just kind of feel out the situation of the classroom, how mature they are, whether it's a gender-based class and things like that. So, you know, everyone knows their students and knows how they could run their class. But for these purposes, we're gonna put students can post and comment. And then classwork on the stream. So we're just going to keep it right now, whatever came up, which is show condensed notifications. We'll explain that a little bit later. We're not changing any of these. We're keeping these two as is, and the grading we'll talk about later, okay? So we're going to X out of class settings. Okay, so now we're going to go to stream. So we're on stream, if you see right here. Okay. And like I said, you see the join code. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. I gotta keep moving this, the bar over here. All right. So we're gonna go to people. Actually, before we go to stream, we're gonna go to people so we can add our students.
And just to jump in, the reason why Ms. Sama disabled the code is so that you guys can protect your students from anyone joining. And so what she's doing now is a step of specifically inviting people so you can control the audience.
Okay, so I'm going to invite 2 students into my classroom. I'm gonna invite Dr. Junaid Mansouri and Brother Asim.
Yay.
And I'm gonna invite them. They'll get an email to join my class. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to stream. Okay, and on stream I'm going to share something with the class. So if you see here, I'm going to post something just to the class. So CIOGC, so all the classes that I'm a part of are listed here. So if I want to make a post to all the classes that I'm part of, all I have to do is check all these and then everyone will get that post. But if I want to do it particularly just for this class, then we just keep this checked. And then if you want to send it to all students, you could do that. Or if you want to send it to one particular student, you could do that as well. So the reason sometimes you want to send it to just one particular student rather than all students is if a student maybe needs to make up an assignment, they were absent or something like that, you send it to one student. So I'm going to post something real quick. I'm going to add something here from my files and give a little bit of files from your device. Okay, so I'm going to add a image here. I'm going to upload it. And this is going to be the assignment that I'm posting. All right. And then everyone. So, well, not an assignment, but this is just a post I wanted to share with everyone. So now that I've posted it and they could reply to it. Okay. And then they've already replied to me if you see down here. So Brother Asim and Dr. Junaid have replied to me. Okay. Classwork next. For classwork, classwork is really nice. There's many different options that they have. So you could create an assignment, a quiz, assignment, question, material, or you could reuse an old post. And then there's topic. What's really nice about topic is you could organize your assignments by units, by chapters, and things like that. So that kind of makes it easier on students when they're looking for assignments. If there's many posted, this will make it easier for them to be able to find assignments. So it's always good when you're going to make an assignment is you have a descriptive title for your assignment. So we're going to create a assignment real quick over here. So description is, I'll just make it assignment number 1. Assignment 1, this is the title of the assignment, and we'll call it Unit 1. So description is helpful for students who are absent and referring back to a previous assignment later. And I'm going to give a little bit of instructions. Please write a 100-word essay about this link. Okay, so I'm going to add this link, or I'm going to add a file, excuse me. Again, I'm going to add what I added before. So let me go back to this. It's an image. Okay, I'm going to upload it. And then once I've created the assignment, I'm going to, again, who am I going to assign it to? I'm going to assign it just to this one class. I'm going to assign it to all my students on here. How many points is it out of? Is it graded or ungraded? It will be graded. A due date, so we select a due date. So we'll select April 16th for the due date. The topic, we have to create a topic, so we'll call it Unit 1. And then if you want to add a rubric on, you could also add a rubric. I will show you the options. You could create your own rubric, you could reuse a rubric, or you could import one from Sheets if you have one on your Sheets. And then I'm going to, give me 1 second so I can move this screen so I could post it. And I will assign. Okay. Give me 1 second, sorry about that. And then it is assigning right now. And in Unit 1, we have Assignment 1, Unit 1. If you guys see that here, that was created. And here's a description of what they need to do. Here is the image that I sent them that they have to write their essay about. This tells you how many students have turned it in. And it was assigned to 2 students. So if, Brother Awesome, if you don't mind elaborating a little bit more of how the assignments, when you see them, when they get turned in, how they're organized.
Sure. So first, just to differentiate between stream and classwork, stream is an opportunity for you to develop some interactiveness with your students. It's really important that you recognize that everyone is under stress during this time. And if the only thing you're doing is assigning classwork, that doesn't allow you to maintain that rapport. So posting links, images, anything that's not point related will go on your stream and students can comment on it. But when you do an assignment is something that is organized specifically for assessment purposes. So one of the important things that you need to do when you make an assignment is to create different topics. So you can see on Ms. Sama's screen how it says Unit 1. After 4 years of teaching, I have learned that if I don't create very specific topics, it will be difficult for me to access these assignments, and it'll be very difficult for students to access them. So I would even say creating all of your topics beforehand is something that you can do. In addition, on classwork, Ms. Sama will show you how it doesn't have to simply be an assignment. It can also be a material. It could be a question. You could even make a quiz. And all of these will still fall under classwork under the categories that you have made. So again, stream is something that could be fun, announcements, something is going on. Classwork is something that is more organized, that is either assignments, assessments, or resource materials organized by the topics that you make when you click on that Create Topic section.
All right, thank you, Brother Awesome. Jazakallah khairan. So we've created that first assignment. So I'm going to create maybe 1 or 2 more things, and then we can move on. I'm going to create a material. Let me see if I can do that. And with that, I'm going to maybe add a YouTube link, something about Islam. And okay, so let's just add this. We'll add it. Reading, so we'll call this reading assignment for Unit 1. Read and we'll discuss. So basically I'm assigning something again, it's a material for them to read, and then with our stream, once I post this with our stream, we'll be able to discuss it. I'll let them know when we'll be discussing it. So read and we'll discuss on April 10th, we'll say. And then I'll post this. And again, it's showing right here. reading assignment. So I posted the material for them to just read, look through this video, and then once they look through the video, we will be discussing it in class. I'll go through the quiz one. The quiz assignment is pretty nice, actually, for those. So with assessments and quizzes, you could either use the Google Classroom to create it, or if you've created your own, you can always upload your own as well. So what we'll do is, again, Unit 1 quiz, and we will create, whoops, Unit 1 quiz, and we will create a quiz. So we could either create one or use a blank form. So we will create one, and then we will use, let's say,
Google Forms is usually pretty good.
Google Forms. Okay, let me go back to Forms then. So let me, oh, 1 second.
So while Ms. Sama is setting it up, for assessments, you have a lot of options. Given the fact that you don't have the ability to watch the students while they're taking assessments, I'd highly encourage long answer questions and limited amount of multiple choice. You can see on Google Forms, you have a lot of different options of questions. And there's even the ability, we're not going to talk about it here, but there's even an ability to add the answer key once someone submits it. They can get the answers for it or the rubric for it. It's something that you just have to play along with, and whatever fits your style, you will find that on Google Classroom Control.
Okay, so with the quiz that we're creating, there's different quizzes you could create: a multiple choice, a paragraph, or a short answer. So for this sake, we'll just use a multiple choice untitled question. What is CIOGC? GC? Okay. And then we'll add that question. And then you could add question 2 and so on and so forth. And then you'll create your quiz from there. And then we will send, let me see the responses. So over here, I'll show you responses. We didn't get the responses, but we will send it. We'll just do a 1-question quiz for now. So automatically collect respondents, CPSA email address. We will not do that yet. All right, and Brother Awesome, do we post it from here now?
So there's 2 ways of using Google Forms. So one way is just putting the link into an assignment, and the other is what Ms. Sama has already started, is a quiz, which puts the Google form directly on there. So when you hit the send button, that is specifically putting email addresses in. So if you click the send button, you'll see that it has specific things. Whereas the method that we're doing is we are putting it as a quiz assessment. So the form is embedded into the assessment in itself.
So I will send that to them. And then they will receive it at their end, correct? And then I will see the responses here.
Yep, so I am on the classroom, so I can see all the things that she has posted on my wall. And the general default for Google Classroom is whenever a teacher posts something on stream or assignments, you get an email about it. And Google Classroom has this awesome parent guardian link with the student so that both the student and the guardian can receive an email whenever a teacher posts something.
Okay. All right, so we'll exit out of forms right here. And then we have assigned. All right. So we assign a quiz as well. So you've assigned a quiz, and it shows you everything that you've assigned here. So we have the quiz, we have the reading assignment, and assignment number 1. So all your assignments that you're creating will be on here. Then if you click on Google Calendar, the dates that we put in come out over here. So we had one assignment due on the 16th, and it shows on the Google Calendar, which is nice. Students can have access to that, and they'll be able to go on and check to see when their assignments are due. So I wanted to show you right here before I go on. So over here are all the classes like I said, that I am assigned to. And I just want to give you just an overview of how a class looks with streaming, with students responding back and forth, and classwork being posted. So I'm going to go into this classroom. So if you see, this is a 6th grade literature classroom, and this is the teacher posting the different assignments and things like that, and students responding. So there's 8 class comments on this one. And then this is the classwork that the teacher has given, just to give you. So here's one of the classwork assignments. These are the different people that are on there. So this is the teacher, this is myself, and then the students are assigned down here, so that way you could see who your students are. And then grades. Now going back to grades, let me just go back to our class. So going back to grades, so the way grades can be set up, so we have our own grading portal at CPSA, which each school does. And there's 2 ways you could do it if it's set up properly at your school. So if your school IT administrator has set up Gmails for all their students. So our CPSA emails are all Google-enabled Gmail accounts. So if our students all had Google-enabled Gmail accounts, whether they were Gmail accounts or they're enabled through CPSA, from our grading portal, we have the option to click on Google Classroom, and from there, all the students' grades can be imported from Google Classroom to our grade book. But every student needs to be able to have an email, and that email needs to be a Gmail account. Now, if that does not happen, then not every student's grades will be imported to our to the grading portal that the school uses for their purposes. So that's why some teachers prefer not to use the grades option on here. So if you see with the ones that I added, it's out of 100 points because I didn't really give much info about the assignments and how many points is worth. Brother Asim, if you want to give a little bit of info of how you use yours for grading.
Sure. So for my my grade book at CPSA is entirely separate, and my students have emails that sometimes work, sometimes don't work. So just for the sake of my time and then also stress, I have grades that are in Google Classroom specifically for assignments, and grades that are on my CPSA gradebook as tests. So what I do is I make a standard. So if you go, Ms. Sama, back to grades under settings, the wheel.
Yes, let's go back. Yeah, we did not do that earlier, so.
Yeah, so there's 3 options that you have. And again, this depends. Are you a Sunday school? Are you a full-time school? Are you just doing tutoring? It all depends on your needs. So for me, since I want to show grades according to the percentage, I choose weighted by category. And if you look under grade categories, it says add grade category. So on the bottom left, and you can just click on it, and there you go. And if you keep scrolling down, you can add grade categories just like you would do normally. So for my assignments are 20%. Participation is 10%. Assessments that I give on Google Classroom might be 25%. However you want to do it. Another method of doing this, instead of doing standards, is just points. And in points, a test would be worth 200, a quiz might be worth 50 points. It just depends. And if you don't want to give grades on here, you just want to collect the homework, then you can leave it ungraded. If you go, Ms. Sama, to the quiz that you submitted to us, Unit 1 quiz.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me just try and save this. Well, let me save it. So I'll just cancel.
So those are all options you guys can make. And our call is very short, so our ability to go over all the details for Google Classroom is really impossible. So I am here for anyone who needs help, inshallah, going over the details. And Ms. Sama has a wonderful guide that you guys can also use as well to help you.
Yeah, inshallah, we'll be sharing those with you guys as well. All the guides to set up Google Classroom that goes into a lot more detail. Everything is really user-friendly, and it's very simple to use. And if you go through it and you click on something, don't worry about making a mistake. You could always delete it or correct it. So don't worry about experimenting and learning how to use it.
So if you look, it shows I submitted the quiz. So it shows one turned in, one assigned. One assigned means that Dr. Nate, unfortunately, has not turned in his assignment yet, but I have. So on there, you will see my name, and it gives a point total. So when you click on my name, it also gives you the ability to give specific comments to students. So if you click on Dr. Nade's name, on the bottom, yeah, you can write a comment, why haven't you turned in your assignment yet, Dr. Nade? Your classmate has, but you haven't. And so this becomes a private comment that Dr. Junaid will receive that is easier to organize than just an email. I think a lot of teachers forget how our students interact, and our students do not interact through email. They interact through applications, they interact through something that's already made. So if I want to communicate, I would want to communicate through comment systems, on assignments, or through the stream.
Okay, so for the sake of time, we have to end the Google Classroom because it's already 8:10 and we still have to go through Microsoft Teams. So I'm gonna exit this one and go into Microsoft Teams. If you give me a second and let me.
And while Ms. Sama is setting that up, the goal of Google Classroom is to have your organization, to have your assignments, to have your grading, to have your interactiveness. Google Classroom is not the place for webcam learning. That's something that is separate. And there are a lot more options. And just Ms. Libna said something in the chat regarding Arabic assignments. You can submit Word docs and Google Docs of Arabic assignments. So all of our Arabic teachers are using Google Classroom. They're submitting the Word doc. It makes a copy for each student, and then they fill it out.
Any other questions before we move on? That we need to answer?
Yes, Sama, would you just make an announcement to the group that because they were not required to register, if they would put their email address, anyone that wants to receive the material, email address as a chat, and we will inshallah, make sure they get those materials.
You want me to write that in the chats?
No, I already did, but I'm just saying if you can make an announcement.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So as I don't know if everyone heard Brother Abdullah, please type in your emails. We didn't have you guys register this time, but maybe if we do another one in the future, we'll do that. Type in your emails in the chats. That way we're going to send you a bunch of links and attachments for Google Classrooms and for Microsoft Teams to kind of make everything a lot simpler for everyone. So if you can, again, please do that, and we will send you everything hopefully in the next day or two. So the next thing is we're going to start is Microsoft Teams, and our expert on that is Dr. Junaid Mansouri. Dr. Junaid, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah,
okay, perfect.
Anything I noticed, I'll chime in. Yeah.
Okay, so great. So we're going to start a Microsoft team account. So alhamdulillah, again, our IT administrators have been amazing throughout all this. They've been helping us so much. So they had to create the Microsoft Teams for us. They had to put in all of our emails. And what they're currently doing at the moment, because we may be switching over to this, we're not 100% sure yet, is that, again, like I said earlier, we're creating emails for all the students, and we're going to upload all their emails on here, which will make it easier. But what's nice with Microsoft Teams is you could use any email to be able to use Microsoft Teams. So the first thing is we're going to create a team. They don't call them classes on here. They call them teams. So give me 1 second. Nothing I'm looking. Create a team. So we're going to create a team. So we're going to join or create team, okay? So I have 2 already listed on here. I'm going to create a new one. So join or create team. Give me 1 second. Just going to my notes that I have here. So we are creating a team, and we're not going to join with a team code. We're going to create an actual team, and it's kind of similar to Google Classroom. So they do share a lot of similar features. And there's different types of teams, as you can see, you could create. For this purpose, we can do a class. And then again, we'll call this CIHOC webinar class. And description is e-learning. So it's creating the team for me. Okay, and then same thing here. So I'm going to search for the students. And again, I will add the 2 teachers that I have as my students. Again, everything is, alhamdulillah, user-friendly. I haven't been using it this long, and neither have any of our teachers, actually. I know Dr. Junaid just learned this a few weeks ago, right before all this happened, and he's become the expert on it, alhamdulillah. So I've added these 2 teachers, or students, and I'm closing it. All right. So you could upload class materials over here. But before I do that, I'm going to just go through all these real quick on the top. Sorry, my bar is covering everything here for me and I can't see everything. Let me just move this. Okay. All right, so post, basically this is where you're going to post everything. So if you see my screen, they're already responding to me. Salam. We're going to post right here. Salam, everyone. So this is where we're just posting and writing, kind of like how we had streams on Google Classroom. This is similar to it. And then we could upload class materials. But before we do that, on the bottom here, if you see all these little links you have, you could format, you could add an attachment, emojis. But this is the one that we wanted to look into. We wanted you guys to see is the Meet Now. And Dr. Junaid, if you want to elaborate on that a little bit more.
Sure, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I've been using Microsoft Teams as well as Zoom for a while now, and I just kind of wanted to share some things. Microsoft Teams is really amazing. You can think of it as a single application that allows you to communicate with students, make assignments, receive assignments. But one of the wonderful things about Microsoft Teams, well, 2 things. One thing compared to Google Classroom, is with Google Classroom, you cannot very easily start a video class. Okay, so Google Classroom is a great way to communicate with students, share information, have students communicate, chat, make assignments, receive assignments, but it's not really for video conferencing, so to speak. Now, what's nice about Microsoft Teams is not only does it have all of these features of Google Classroom as far as making assignments and communicating, but like Miss Salma just showed you, at the bottom of the screen, there is a button and you can start a video class as simple as that within Microsoft Teams. Okay, and one of the other advantages I just wanted to share is that security-wise, Microsoft Teams is excellent. Okay, there is absolutely no way that someone can enter into a classroom or join a class at all. It's impossible unless they are officially members of that class. So, and that's one of the distinctions that separates Microsoft Teams from Zoom, because in Zoom, it's a little bit easier for a stranger to enter the class, but in Microsoft Teams, that's not the case.
Okay, so what we recommend is to have your IT administrator set up your safety measures. You can do some on your own, but if that way they have stricter safety measures. Our IT administrator is the one who created this, so they have more abilities than us. And this way the safety measures will go across the board to all teachers as well. And then let me go on here. So let me exit off out of this. Let me go off, I'm sorry. Here it is. So I'm gonna close that. So you just wanted to show that to you real quick. So this is where you'll post, here are some files. This is where you'll upload files. So if I had files, they'd all be listed over here. And just showing you how you can upload files. You could sync, copy, link, download through your cloud services. SharePoint, and then over here it'll also list all your documents, whatever you had, it'll list it for you. Class notebook. So, oh, it didn't come up this time, but there's an Outlook notebook that usually comes up on the screen. Oh, here it is, it's coming. So you can set up a OneNote class notebook, and you can create a blank one or from an existing notebook. So we'll create a blank one from here, and it gives you step-by-step information of how to work with these notebooks. And then assignments, this is where we need to work, is with our assignments. Okay, so we're gonna get started with assignments, and the same thing, assignments, quizzes, timelines, grading rubrics, basically the same features that Google Classroom has, this has as well. So
and
we're
just
gonna
say something real quickly. So for Microsoft Teams, the reason why you would use the assignments or anything else is live. You can do things, whereas Google Classroom is something you don't need to be live for. There are more options for Microsoft Teams. There are schools that simply use Microsoft Teams, but given the amount of time that you have, I would highly advise you to use Google Classroom for your organization and use Microsoft Teams for your e-learning.
Yeah, so on here, if you're giving any type of assessment, you could give it live and you could watch your students while they're taking those exams. So that way to kind of eliminate as much as you can any unfortunate cheating or anything like that while the tests are ongoing. So this is one of the reasons we like utilizing Microsoft Teams, and the safety measures, like they said, are a lot better than Zoom, and you won't have all the issues that Zoom has. So again, from here you could create a quiz, you could create assessments, and you could actually go on live and watch them while they're taking their tests. And then grades. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. So create and grades and assignments. So once I create an assignment, then the grades will come up here. So let me try and create a quiz or an assignment. So let's create an assignment real quick. We're gonna name it Test Unit 1. And please fill in the blanks. All right. And points, we'll do it out of 50 points. And to all students, and then again, the same thing, due date and time, and then you're gonna assign it. Okay. And then now, once they've turned in their assignments, similar to Google Classroom, you could see if they turned in their assignments, and you could assign them their points on here. And then I clicked on the specific student. So all their assignments, all their tests, their quizzes will be showing up here with the status of their grades and their assignments. And then I'm just going to go through some of these tabs really quickly. Assignments also will be on here, so I could choose the class that I want. Since I have 2 classes, the next. And again, here is the assignment that I gave. Google or calendar as well. So the calendar should show up on here with the assignment that's due, which it has it. Whoops. And then you could add them on here as well. And then your files, if you upload any files, you will see them here as well. And then if you want to find any apps, you could go through here, or you could go through here as well. And it has all these apps you could go through. Zoom is right here. Let me just go back to Teams. And then here's our chats. So if you want to do any private chatting or calling, you could do that with your students or colleagues in this case, if you're going to do anything for meetings. And Dr. Junaid, would you like to add anything else that I missed before we end off, because we have about 8 minutes?
Sure. Saklak here. No, I think everything explained is excellent. One thing I just want to mention is that for all of these e-learning platforms, whether you use Google Classroom or Zoom or Microsoft Teams, they all have a variety of security measures. Now, and it's very important for every teacher and every administrator, IT administrator, everyone to really sit down and learn and review what those security features are, because there's a very wide variety of them. Teachers, when you use this software, you can actually set a lot of security features on your own. Okay, so for example, on Microsoft Teams, you might not want your students to have the ability to start video chats with each other. That might not be something that you want, and there's a way to shut that down. That might not be that feature. The way to shut that down might not be obvious to teachers, and that's why it's essential that you communicate with your IT administrator or whoever's doing online security at your school, because those features are there, and sometimes you need to go to someone higher up in the chain who has administrative privileges, who can set very strong security measures into your classroom. So to summarize, if there's anything that you need to ensure the safety and security of your students, try to find that on your own. If you cannot, don't just kind of settle with that. You need to contact your IT administrator so they can implement that for you. And what I found in my experience is those settings that I could not figure out on my own, I contacted the IT administrator at CPSA, and mashallah, he's very knowledgeable, and he was able to go in and take care of every single issue that I had. So at least my version of Microsoft Teams that I use is very tight security-wise. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, well, yeah. So I just want to mention Zoom real quick, because I know we did have it, like I said, on the agenda, and I did mention in the beginning that I'm sure many of you heard that Zoom hasn't been very secure lately. So that's why we're going to try and move away from Zoom slowly as a school and as an institution. So minors can actually only use Zoom if they have school emails. Like I said, we do not have school emails for our students yet. We are in the process of that. But even with that, we are deciding to not go with it because there have been a lot of safety and security concerns with that. And obviously we want to use something safer for our students. So that's why we have been utilizing Google Classroom very heavily. And then we actually have a meeting tomorrow with our faculty and staff to see if Microsoft Teams is the way we want to go with further once we get back from our spring break, which is next week, inshallah. So in the meantime, we have about 5 minutes left. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat. I know we went really quickly. We didn't dive in as much because our time is really limited. But like I said, the questions that you have, we'll try to answer them within the next 5 minutes. And then since we do have everything recorded, we could try to answer your questions for you later. And then if, again, everyone shares their emails, we'll send, I have a bunch of links and attachments on how to create your accounts and your teams for Google. And then I also have a link for Google Meets, which I didn't mention, but Google Classroom has Google Meets as well, which we are actually looking into utilizing more. We only have a handful of teachers that use that. So we're currently learning how to use Google Meets. I'll send you an attachment on how to start Google Meets as well. And there's also attachments for Microsoft Teams with all the different options that they have as well. So I'll send all that later, as long as I get everyone's emails. And if Dr. Junaid and Brother Asim would like to say anything else or answer any questions before we hand it off to Brother Arshad.
So there's a lot of questions in the chat. I wanted to start with one and then inshallah hand it to Dr. Junaid. So there's a question asked about cheating. So cheating is a very difficult topic to deal with through e-learning. Just to give you an example, for AP classes, which are classes taught in high schools that give college credit, the College Board has definitively come out and basically said that they can't really limit cheating. So they've now made their tests open note. So what they have done is they've changed their test to remove all multiple choice and make it completely essay and focusing on essential skills rather than something that can just be Googled. So as a teacher, you need to recognize that your ability to control all types of cheating can be limited based off of the settings you choose through Microsoft Teams or the assessments that you make. As a social studies teacher, I try to make most of my assessments now essay and writing. So, and I also will use Google Forms, which gives me the ability to give a time limit per question. So if I have an essay question that they need to write 2 paragraphs for, I might have a 10-minute limit on it in order to discourage cheating as much as possible. Dr. Junaid knows much more on this, so I'll give that to him.
Yeah, I mean, as far as ensuring that your assessments are given safely, you know, I personally think that that has to be kind of addressed on a case-by-case basis. It's a lot easier to assign essays and short answers in English and social studies classes. For math and science, that tends to be different. So I think if teachers want to find creative ways to give assessments in which students cannot cheat, you have to kind of look at it at a class-by-class basis. And I think what will be very helpful is that if teachers in the community start communicating with each other, there's a lot of wonderful websites and ways to have that accomplished. For example, just recently I learned about a physics website that creates physics tests that are similar, but the problems are different, and it's timed and it's submitted and it's graded, and that usually normally you pay for it, but during the school closures, they've made it free. So that essentially solves our issue of assessing physics. So the resources are out there. I don't want any teacher to feel like I'm going to have to make tests and there's nothing I can do to keep students from cheating. With technological advances, there's ways to do all of that.
Okay, there's also a question here, at what age group you find e-learning can be very effective? So as far as I know at our school, our 4th grade has done various e-learning classes, and the teachers love it and the students are enjoying it. They haven't had any issues with e-learning at the 4th grade level. First, second, and third are basically just submitting assignments, or they're allowing them to come in at certain times, one at a time, and pick up packets for maybe a week or so at a time and drop it off. So the e-learning for the younger ones may be a little bit more difficult. But like I said, as far as I know, as young as 4th grade in our school, they're doing it. Not
Preschool
sure.
too.
Preschool is doing it.
Yeah, so
I know she was picking up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So just the way you would teach with younger grades would be very different. And I just wanted to bring up one thing. So if you are the administrator of your school, you need to be very careful in issues of equity and access. So in CPSA, we have a lot of families that have 7 or even 8 kids that are in the school. And so we as teachers have to be aware they do not have necessarily 7 or 8 devices. So making a schedule for when you're going to have these classes and communicating with parents is absolutely essential if you want all students to participate. But yes, preschool kids can do it. There's a lot of fun things you can do.
As far as making a schedule, we actually have a schedule that we made for our teachers for live sessions that we started before we left school for e-learning, and we're modifying it tomorrow in our meeting just to make sure there's no overlap with students in other classes. It's one thing that we have to understand with e-learning is, when this first started, all teachers assumed that it's going to be a 50-minute class period and we're going to do as much work as we can as we did in the classroom, and that's not realistic. So even doing 2 live sessions a week, not more than 4 live sessions a week, depending on the class and the rigor, and obviously the age and the grade level of their students. So, by the time they're 12th graders and they're taking AP courses, 4 days a week of a live session will be needed. But, if you have preschool, 1st grade, elementary, early elementary, 1 day a week of a live session, and then assignments turned in and things like that. But all that needs to be taken into consideration. Everyone is kind of in the same boat right now, all over the country, all over the state, whether it's public or private. Everyone's kind of learning as they go along. So always learning not to overwhelm or overburden or burn yourselves out as teachers, and not to do that with the students as well. So obviously we're not going to be able to do as much as we can in the classroom, and that's really, really important to know. And I'm sorry it's 8:31, so I'm going to stop talking, and if Brother Arshad wants to close out, and we'll try to answer everything we can later.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Sama, and thank you, the CIGC task force and all the presenters today for your effort. This is, I was listening in. It was I'm not an educator, but it was so helpful. And thank you for putting this together. And I just wanted to share one thing. CIGC wants to bring the relevant topics for our community. And I'm sure you have attended some webinars that we have hosted earlier to address the needs of the community. And so we will continue to do that in this difficult times that we're in. And this e-learning was one of the areas that we definitely wanted to cover. So we did. So I want to thank everyone who participated in it. Stay tuned to CIGC, log on to our website and look at these future webinars that we're hosting. There is going to be another one on Sunday that we're trying to host. This is relevant to the topic of financial sustainability within our community. So all the nonprofits are struggling with the financial, and this could be some of the guidance that we want to provide, bringing some expertise within the industry to help and support you in this area. So again, don't want to take too much time. I want to thank everyone to participate. Thank you, Brother Mitchell, for moderating, even though you didn't speak much, but that's fine. But Sister Sama and everybody else, and I don't know if Brother Kamal is on or not, but thank you everyone for participating and all the presenters. Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.